welcome to Save Radio. This is James, and I'm with Ganns. Whee!
People! Oh my gosh! Hi everybody, how are you, James?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm coming to you guys from beautiful Canberra, although you can't tell because I'm talking to you from inside my car.
Yeah. For those of you who do not know, Ganns is like the grandfather of all the DJs in Save Radio.
It was a good time.
I see that you've been playing around with the Make Yourself Old app, and I follow you on the social media, and I just laugh at all your jokes. It's so funny.
Thank you. It's very important to try to keep an open and humorous mind because of everything that's happening right now. But I think there's a place for faith and there's a place for for humor in difficult times like now.
Yeah, oo nga. And so because of that, I'm sure we have a lot of people who are new to Save Radio. Can you share to us very briefly how you came to the Lord, how you came to know Jesus as your Lord and Savior?
I came to know Jesus at a Kenny Rogers Roasters. My girlfriend at the time, true story. My girlfriend at the time, she was a believer, and I was not. And what happens was, over the course of our time together, she was praying that I would come to know God, and that wasn't happening. So one day she decided to just to go with what God was telling her, which was to break up with me. And on the day that she was supposed to break up with me, I wasn't able to meet up with her because I had scheduled a lunch with two friends at Kenny Rogers Roasters. And during that time, at that lunch, those two friends shared the gospel with me, and I accepted Jesus at a Kenny Rogers Roasters, and told my then girlfriend that that Jesus was in my life, and she was crying on the LRT all the way home. Back in that was 2001, and yeah, that ex-girlfriend is now my wife of, of 19
Oh,
years.
yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. So you're in Canberra right now. What are you doing there? What's your work? What's your ministry there? You want to tell us about it?
Well, my wife is studying her second PhD. She's brilliant like that, so she's super smart, and so she's studying her PhD here at the Australian National University. And while she's doing that, the family and I moved here with her. So I work at a company that does design and digital marketing, and I'm not in the office right now because I'm here in the car. And part of that, when we moved over, was we connected with the Every Nation Church here in Canberra. So we are happy members of Every Nation Canberra here in the capital city.
Right. How's the Filipino community there? Is there their local sari-sari store or Manong Taho or the dirty ice cream?
There's a lot of Filipinos, but because of the COVID situation, you don't really get to go out as much as you'd like. In the Philippines, there's a massive mall culture, lalo sa Manila. So in Metro Manila, there's a lot of malls, and that's basically how people come together. Now here in Canberra, malls and shopping centers, they close by 5, so there's not a
What?
lot to do. Yeah, it closes at 5, except on Fridays they close at 9. It's like their midnight madness is 9 o'clock, but shops close at 5, and so pretty much you are left to your own devices. And so the opportunity for people to hang out in Canberra is a lot greater because there's nothing else to do. So people get to visit each other. So the Filipino community, what we like to do is we like to go over to each other's houses. We have a barbecue and things like that. But that was all before COVID. COVID pretty much threw a wrench in that one. And since then, everything's been happening over Zoom. Uh, Every Nation Canberra is a member of the Every Nation family of churches, and in the Philippines, Every Nation Philippines is known as Victory. So a lot of the Victory members who have moved to Canberra are now part of Every Nation Canberra, including me and my family. So we are part of that community, and there's a good number of Filipino members in there. But we also have a lot of members who are not from the Philippines. So we have folks from Venezuela, we have folks from Chile, we have folks from Sri Lanka. It's a
Venezuela.
wonderful community.
Yeah, all right. And you mentioned you're obviously outside right now. How's the quarantine like over there?
Well, Canberra is part of the region of Australia known as the Australia Capital Territory, the Australian Capital Territory, ACT. So within the ACT, we have no cases, and it was headlines a few weeks ago when we had like one case. We're like, oh, one case. But I think the natural tendency, the thing about Canberra, you guys, is that it's the size of Metro Manila, but it's the population of Parañaque. So take the
Ooh.
people in Parañaque and spread them across the whole of Manila, right? So Quezon City, Manila, Parañaque, the whole set, Pasig, and you put them together, and so you basically you run into nobody. So the quarantine is still pretty much in effect. So we do have certain laws in place or certain guidelines in place. So you can only have a certain number of people inside a restaurant or a shop at any given time, and people are still generally encouraged to wear masks. But by far and large, it's not as it's not as frantic as most others would believe, because we're just we're so distributed. You don't run into anybody here. So it's like I could literally walk from my office, or rather walk from my home, let's say, to the shops, and I would run into nobody the entire walk. I'll only see people when I get to the shop. That's how
Ooh.
few the people are here. So when there are few people, the fewer people, the less likely you run into somebody who has COVID.
Yeah, that's and so they never did they ever implement stay at home strict policies?
Yes, the schools did shut down for a time, and a good number of the shops that weren't considered essential services did shut down for a time. But a lot of the essential services are open for as long as they maintain the quarantine rules. They're okay. So that's what's essentially happening here. The schools have reopened, and there are still online classes for a good number of them. But for the most part, everything seems to be well on its way back to normal.
Yeah, all right. So during those times, aside from doing some work, what else have
Mhm.
you been busy with during your stay at home moments?
Well, the reality is, I personally didn't get to stay at home. My work
Okay.
never actually stopped, and I'm grateful for that because um, God is a faithful provider, and so I'm privileged to at least still have that job. I know a lot of people have lost their jobs or have hours, and so I'm just super grateful to be able to have that job and to have full-time hours. So that in and of itself is good. But the nature, I think, of life here in Canberra, it's really very laid back. What we call boy provincia. It feels like that here, and oh my gosh. When I first got here to Canberra, the very first thing that blew me away was the absence of traffic. There is
Okay.
no traffic. The idea of traffic here is if there's a stoplight and you have like 4 or 5 cars in front of you, it's like, what is going on? That's the idea of traffic here. I don't mean to boast, but it's like it's incredible how there's no traffic, right? So because there's no traffic and the services here are generally there's a whole range of public services that are available to the people in the city. What we like to do is we like to take advantage of those services. So um, there are so many libraries here, you guys, public libraries, where you can borrow as many as 50 books at a time. I'm not kidding. So we've taken advantage of that, and we've been doing a lot of reading. And then aside from that, there are museums. There are so many parks, and so the season that we have here as a family has brought us closer together because we've taken advantage of that. And instead of like going to the mall, what we do is we like to go to a park, or we'll go to the library, or we'll go to a museum, and that's how we'll spend our free time. After the quarantine hit, what we basically did, since most of us were stuck at home, we took it we borrowed a heap of books, and we've been reading. Overall, we're just taking advantage of this opportunity to just draw closer together as a family and to grow closer together with our other church mates and members of the community via Zoom.
Right. So you finally you did buy your son those that switch because I saw one story before. You bought him a switch for the light.
Yes. I gave him a I gave him a light switch. Um, but the Switch has actually brought us together as a family as well. So we are playing Animal Crossing together. Each of us have our own characters, and we're building this island together. It looks amazing by their standards, and so it's for me, it's important to use technology for a purpose, and so I have no problem with getting technology if it's something that we can do together as a family. And so because there's so much time available to us now, we're taking advantage of that, and we're enjoying the Switch and other games that we're playing together as a family.
Right. We're talking about technology, so let's get to it.
Mm.
Also, on your social media, I see a lot of music videos and so many other other contents that you have. How can you, and speaking as a person who's really into digital media, how
Mhm.
can you use it to encourage others, especially in times like this?
Well, personally for me, I do have a website, Ganstein.com. And on that website, I've been putting a lot of fresh content to, rather fresh links to content that I believe can help people in this time, right? So even though I'm no longer with Saved, I'm still very much into contemporary Christian music, and I'm continuing to follow the new stuff that's coming out of the U.S. and all across the world for new Christian music, and so that gets put up on my website. I've been doing short video encouragements and online prayer in two series that I call "G'day Guys." I will never have the accent. No, "G'day Guys." The It's called hashtag G'day Guys and hashtag Goodnight Guys, and so those are just brief 1 minute videos where I share a verse and I pray for the people. And so I think that it's important during this time to kind of like when there's so much negative news out there, to kind of like counteract that with all this positivity. And so for me, it's not just about positivity, but it's about using the word of God specifically to encourage people in particular situations. So what I'm doing is I'm producing these videos, the Good Day and the Good Night series, for people who need prayer. So even though I'm praying in general, I know that there are people out there who need to hear that specific prayer at that specific time. And aside from that, being able to link to music that's really able to speak to people in a particular season. So, for example, like I personally have been so blessed by the new album of Elevation Worship. And so Taryn Wells has got a great song called Never Lost.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much great worship music coming out. Tasha Cobbs,
Mm-hmm.
gospel superstar Tasha Cobbs, has a great song now
Yeah.
with Hillsong Worship. That's really good as well. I'm such a fan of Tasha Cobbs. So being able to access this music is it's blessing. It's a blessing for me. It
Mm-hmm.
edifies my spirit. But at the same time, being able to use whatever tiny platform I have to bring it out there is an opportunity so that other people may get to hear that music and be blessed by it as well. There's just so much great music out there, and there's the power of music to be able to heal and to minister to people in this difficult time. You can't underestimate that. So I'm super excited for what Saved Radio is doing. I'm so glad that you guys are taking back the airways for Jesus, and I really think it's important that people get to know that there are channels such as ours, Saved Radios,
Mm-hmm.
that people can listen to for music and for content that can speak to them in this difficult time.
Yeah, that's. I, okay, there.
Tuloy lang yung you know?
Oo nga, you may shine. All right. Last two segments. Your message to
Mm,
everybody watching, and then we're gonna have fast talk questions afterwards.
okay. I don't remember the last part. Okay, cool. Sure. Um, you guys, first of all, for those of you who were with Save when I was still there, I super duper miss you, and I pray for you guys every day. I am so excited about what God is going to do in and through you, even in this difficult time. My message for you really is that whether you're in a mountaintop season where things are going really well, or whether you're in a valley season where things are just like so bad, remember that God is with you. Either way, he brought you to that mountaintop and he is walking with you in that valley. So, for as long as you remember that he is with you, for as long as you remember that he is listening and ready and willing and able to help whenever you call on him, you can have that confidence that you will get through that. remember that whatever it is that you're going through, God will help you through. And when it's done, His name will be glorified in how you respond to that situation. So continue to rely on Him, continue to pray and ask Him for wisdom to get through what you need to get through. And I trust that your story is going to be a story that's going to bless the nations.
Yeah, all right. Fast talk questions. Top 3 Christian
Go.
songs right now.
Okay, so that's Waymaker by Mandisa. That's Never Lost by Elevation Worship and Torn Wells. And that's Graves into Gardens by Elevation Worship featuring Brandon Lake.
Yeah, I like that too. Top 3 things that you miss most about the Philippines.
Okay, so I miss my family, I miss Jollibee, and I miss my church. Not in that order. Nauna ang Jollibee sa simbahan. Yeah. Okay. I love you, Victory. But yeah, that's kind of what it is.
All right. Since you're in a different country, top 3 things that you always carry with you that's, quite unusual for a Filipino culture.
Oh, okay. Things I carry with me in Australia that's unusual for a Filipino.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess, well, for one thing, did I get that right? Yeah. For one thing, I always have it's winter right now, so I don't go anywhere without a sweater. It's super cold. Right now it's about 4 degrees. So, so it's super cold. I have this with me, so never go anywhere without a mint. And whether in the Philippines or whether you're in Australia, never go anywhere without a mint. You never know who you'll meet. You never know who you're going to miss. And I guess the third one would be
Meant to be.
My mask. So this mask has it comes with those filters, you guys. So you put these filters into the mask. They're those PM 2.5 filters. So when you go out, you have to be safe. So I don't go out without my mask. I don't go out with my Green Cross rubbing alcohol. So stay safe, you guys, wherever you are. Australia or the Philippines or the US, wherever you are, stay safe. Go out with a mask.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Ganns, thanks for joining us for this program. I had a great time. That was a great chat with you.
I had a great time with you too, James.
Yeah, all right. Guys, thanks for joining us with our chat with Ganns. I'm sure you guys had a great time as well. For more content, visit save.ph, Save Radio PH on Facebook and Twitter, Save Ministries on Instagram, and of course, Save TV on YouTube. This is James with Ganns, and this is Saved Radio.
Taking back the airwaves for Jesus. God bless you guys.
Bye, Ganns.
Bye, James. See you soon.
See you.
Bye.